Kia ora guys, I am going to look at completing the square. So these from exercise 17.06. This is a level 3 algebra skill, but it's kind of cool to have at your disposal while you're doing level 2 algebra. So the idea is, if you've got something like this, like x plus 6 squared, right? And so we know that that in algebra is like having two brackets, like having an x plus 6 multiplied by an x plus 6. So visually, that would look like this. If we were looking at the area, it'd be like a square, with the base being equal to x plus 6, and the height being equal to x plus 6. So we could draw in these, and then have a look at all of the areas. So we would have here, sorry, I have to keep checking that my microphone's actually on. The area of this would be x times x, which is x squared. The area of this section here would be x times 6, which would be 6x. And the area of this section would be x times 6 as well, which is 6x. And the final segment to complete the square would be 6 times 6, which is 36. So this is sort of where the idea of completing the square comes from. So we want to make sure when we are factorizing, this beautiful square comes out. So let's have a look at an example. So let's have a look at question 1. So question 1, we have x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. And so if we were trying to factorize that, we realize that negative 7 is actually a prime number. So the only multipliers that we have to get to negative 7 are negative 1 times positive 7. That doesn't add to 4. And then we could do negative 7 times positive 1, which also doesn't add to 4. So we can't easily factorize this. So we could go and use the quadratic formula. We could get our calculators out and just solve it, but it's so much more beautiful to complete the square. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that a is equal to 1, and in this case a is equal to 1. We've just got x squared by itself. So we're going to move our c across to the other side, and to do that we need to add 7 onto both sides. And we're going to get a nice gap, and that gap is what we're going to use to complete the square. So we get x squared plus 4x, the gap, that's going to be for completing the square, equals 7. So now we need to complete this square. So I'm going to draw the square for us over here. Hopefully that's on the screen. Yes, it is. And so we've got x plus something again, and x plus something, and that's going to get us a similar looking area with a square. So we know that this is x squared, that's all done for us. Now we've got plus 4x. Now to get plus 4x we need to half that, because we've got two sections that we need to fill. Right? So we're going to half 4x, which is 2x, so we put a 2x here and a 2x here. So that means we're going to have x plus 2. That's the thing that's going to be squared. And then over here, x plus 2 as well, which makes it a square. Now, what is 2 squared? 2 squared is 4. So that is the number we need to complete the square. Now let's have a look at how we got that 4 algebraically. So we know that 4 is going to go in here. We just did that. But I'm going to show you algebraically. So here b was equal to 4. And what we did was we halved it, because we had to split it up. So what we do is we get b and we put it over 2. So we're going to do the same thing with our 4, divide it by 2. And then what we did was we said, well, 2 times 2 is 4. So the result we get needs to be squared. So every time we're completing the squared, all we're going to use is this formula here, b over 2 squared. So in this case it was 4 over 2 squared, which got us 4. So we're going to put that in, plus 4. Remember, if we add 4 to this side, we have to add 4 to the other side as well. So that side's going to have 11 on it. And here, remember we worked out that the square is x plus 2. So it's going to become x plus 2 squared. So now we've completed the square, and then all we have to do from here is just unpack x. So let's do that. So we've got squared up here, so the opposite of squared is square root. And in level 2, whenever we do a square root, we should probably chuck a plus or minus in front of it. Because remember, the square root of 11 is going to have two answers. There's going to be the negatives that square to get 11, and then there's going to be the positives that square to get 11. So we get x plus 2 on this side left over. We're then going to have to minus 2 off that side, so we get x equals negative 2 plus or minus root 11. Let me just draw a line here so you can see that that's separate gear going on. Okay, so to actually solve this, x1 is going to be the negative root, so we're going to get negative 2 minus root 11. What is root 11? We're going to need a calculator for that because I have no idea. It's like 3 point something, 3.32. Remember they want 2 dp, so 3.32. And x2 is going to be the positive one, so we get negative 2 plus 3.32. So we'll solve this one first. So we get negative 5.32, that's x1, and then x2 is 1.32. Nice. So we've solved for x by completing the square. I'm going to show you the hardest example I can, because then you'll be ready to do question 10. So let's have a look at question 9. Yeah, I'll draw a picture with this one as well. So this one's a bit harder because look at this. A isn't equal to 1 this time, so we're going to have to fix that straight away. Minus 8x plus 2 equals 0. So let's do that. We'll just divide everything by 5. So then we get, I might run out of space, so I'm just going to do a bit higher. Minus 8 over 5x plus 2 over 5 equals 0, because 0 divided by 5 is 0. Okay, first thing is we're going to move that 2 over 5 over to the other side. Equals negative 2 over 5. Leaving a gap here because remember we need to complete the square. Now the formula that we were using, remember, we'll just use that one from before, eh? Look at that. B over 2 squared. So let's just do that. So we've got negative 8 over 5. Oh shucks, this is scary. All over 2. Whoa, that's looking scary. Squared. Okay, now it's not actually that hard because 8 divided by 2 is quite easy to do. So we can just write negative 4 over 5 all squared. And remember, if everything is squared, that just means we square the top and square the bottom. So 4 squared, oh, maybe I'll write that out so you guys can see. Negative 4 squared and 5 squared on the bottom, and then that becomes 16 over 25. So that is what we need to add on to the end. So it becomes x squared minus 8 over 5x plus 16 over 25 equals, and we have to do that on both sides. Ooh, actually, watch this. Negative 2 over 5, we're just going to make sure we have a common denominator straight away. So I'm going to times everything by 5. So that's actually going to become 10. Oh, that's ugly. Maths teachers should not be writing ugly like that. Negative 10 over 25, and then plus 16 over 25, because we added 16 over 25 to this side. Now, we also don't really need to do too much thinking, because this thing here, the negative 4 over 5, whatever b over 2 is, that's what it factorizes. That's what the square becomes. So it becomes x minus 4 over 5 squared. That's what this all becomes, and it's quite beautiful. And then here we've made a common denominator so we can add them quite easy. Equals 6 over 25. And then we just go ahead and unpack that to solve. I'm going to do that now. X minus 4 over 5, so we just square root both sides. Remember, that gives us the positive negative root. So that becomes that out of that. And we'll do two steps at once if we can. X equals 4 over 5 plus or minus square root of 6 over, because we can actually do the square root of 25 being 5. You guys can solve that on your calculators. You'll be alright. Because I want to spend the rest of this just trying to draw a picture of what the heck happened in the completing of the square visually for you. So here we've got our x, and remember we're at the stage of negative 8 over 5, so I now know that this is x squared, and then we need two numbers that add to get negative 8 over 5, so that's going to be negative 4 over 5x here and negative 4 over 5x here, and those two will add together to get that negative 8 over 5 that we desire. So that means it's minus 4 over 5 here and minus 4 over 5 here, and all we do to find this and complete the square is we multiply negative 4 over 5, so that becomes 16 over 25, and that's where that number came out, and that's why that was the number we needed to complete the square. I hope that helps, and thank you.